You're listening to the Full Court Press podcast, hosted by Drew Duncan. Don't you dare touch that dial. Hello, everybody, and welcome back from commercial break. You're listening to the Full Court Press. I'm your host, Andrew Duncan. You guys are checking me out live on 95.9 FM KSUN Radio in Wichita, Kansas. Don't forget, you can always be a part of the program by tweeting the show, tweeting me, at Drew Duncan 83. You can also find me on Facebook, The Full Court Press. You can also check out the website, thefullcourtpress.wix.com/The Full Court Press. Or you can even call in 316-351-7397. That's 316-351-7397. Weigh in. Tell me I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever. I don't care. I'll go to battle with you. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about college basketball, the tournament coming up and everything like that. We're going to switch gears a little bit. I've been telling you guys that I've got a really great guest coming in the studio today. And with us is a 5-0 MMA in his young martial arts career. He's from right here in Wichita, Kansas. He just had a big bout with one Julian Marquez on Bellator's 150. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Chris Harris. Chris, it's great to have you on the show. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to stop by and talk to us, man.
Man, it's great to be here.
All right, Chris. First of all, you're so unknown, right? You're a Wichita guy. There's, obviously, I was out shopping in the mall leading up to the fight, and there's some people that know you. Oh yeah, Chris is my boy. Some people, kind of know the name a little bit. If people want to know about Chris Harris, being from Wichita, there's a lot more to you than that. What are some of the things that you want people to really know about Chris Harris?
I just want them to know me as a good person, I guess. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I try to do the right thing most of the time. I mean, I'm a nice guy. Try to be humble and very personal. Very approachable. Things like that. I mean, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they can't talk to me or anything like that.
Now, when I saw you when you and I did the after-fight interview initially on Friday night, a little kid came up to you, and I saw you signing an autograph to the little kid and taking a picture, and, like he was being a little cut man for you and all those kinds of things. Do you have kids of your own?
No, I don't.
But I take it you would. It seems to me the way that you were working with them, maybe you would like kids. Are you Are you married right now? Are you guys talking about kids? What's going on with that? Because, there's a lot of ladies out there, Chris. How's the dating game looking for you, my man?
My girlfriend has a daughter, but no, I don't have any kids. There's no kids in the works or anything like that. But yeah, I do like kids. I mean, those kids come to the fights and they look up to us, and especially that kid in particular. I want to say his name was Kaysen, I believe, and Cutman Kaysen on Facebook. He's a little kid. His dreams to be a Cutman when he's older. He had all his gear with him and everything like that. And I had a little cut on my eyelid thanks to Julian, and I let him patch me up a little bit and get a picture. Try to make him have a good night.
Now, one of the things that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu teaches, one of the main primary philosophies, we're talking about how you're doing with the kids and all that kind of stuff, man, and you're talking about being humble and respectful. One of the main philosophies of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which is a big part of MMA, and Royce Gracie, a guy that is in Bellator right now, one of the MMA legends of all time, obviously. When you go into that philosophy, how does it work, not just but outside of the steel cage as well?
Real fans don't only see you when you fight. There's eyes on you all the time, especially the more fights you get, the more well-known you get. There's people looking at you all the time, and if you're out, being a bad guy in the, off camera or whatever you want to say, outside of the ring or off the mats, then it's gonna show, and people are gonna know that about you, and that's not the image that they wanted, and it's not the image that I want for myself either.
Now, when you're talking about image, a lot of that people kind of look and they go, "Oh, this guy's got this image. He's got a great image. He's got a negative image." What are some of the things that you do in your personal life to always avoid anybody saying, well, Chris is this, or I think Chris is that, or maybe Chris is a fronter, or honestly, do you not even really give a damn about what anybody has to say about you and you just do you?
Yeah, I guess you could say I don't really care what people say because, in my opinion, they shouldn't have anything negative to say about me. And if they do, then it's probably something false or taken the wrong way or done or something that they made up, whatever you want to call it. I mean, whenever I'm approached by somebody I don't know or contacted by somebody I don't know, I always try to respond. I always try to be very respectful. I never try to blow anybody off. Like we train inside of Genesis Health Club, and there's a lot of people there that work out that have nothing to do with fighting. A lot of older folks, a lot of young kids, just regular people. And they all talk to us all the time in the locker room. And, everybody, all of us take the time to stop and talk to them. We're never too busy. We're never too big for them, we're just normal people like everybody else. We're just doing something that we love. And so that, if anybody has anything negative to say, then they probably got that impression from they took something the wrong way or something. It wasn't something that I did on purpose or, anything like that. So really, yeah, I could say that I don't really care what they say, because if it's negative, then it was something that was false.
Now, you grew up, you're talking about casing the cut man and little man with his dream of being a cut man. And was this always your dream when you were growing up to be a professional MMA fighter, to be a boxer? Was this always your dream, or did you want to do something else when you were younger?
No, man, as bad or sad as it sounds or whatever, I didn't really have a idea or a goal or a dream of what I was going to be when I was older. I didn't really have too many good people to look up to in my life. I didn't really think about it too much. I was just kind of living wild and reckless. Just day by day, I would say. I never really thought about what I was going to be doing in the future until I kind of grew up and snapped out of it. I got into fighting because I used to get in a lot of fights outside of a ring, out in the streets or in clubs or in bars, wherever you want to say I fought. But so I just kind of fell into it that way. One of my good buddies told me to go and do it, so I did it, and then just the rest is history.
Now, when we're talking about guidance and mentorship and things like that, Chris, when I hear that come from you and I see the look in your eyes right now, the emotional aspect of it is clearly still there for you. What would you tell somebody right now who's listening, who doesn't have that guidance, who needs a gateway, an avenue, who's looking for their purpose in life? What would you tell that person right now?
Keep your head up. If somebody needs somebody to talk to, I'll take the time to talk to people if they get a hold of me. If anybody needs somebody that bad, if you don't have anybody else to call or contact, you can contact me. Get a hold of me on Facebook. I'll help out any way I can. Like I said earlier, I try to respond to everybody. I try to be a good role model. I try to be somebody people can talk to. So if it's bad and you need somebody to talk to or need somebody to look up to, people can get a hold of me.
Now, Chris, when you were growing up in Wichita and you're kind of starting to get into fighting and all those kinds of things, who were some of the guys that you looked up to, whether it was MMA, whether it was boxing, whether it was football, whatever? Who were some of the athletes that you always paid attention to when you were growing up?
Growing up, I was the same thing. I didn't really pay attention too much to sports or anything like that. But once I actually started getting into fighting and stuff, there's a couple guys that I like, but Donald Cerrone probably the most. It's probably the guy that I like the most. He just the lifestyle and his attitude and mentality even outside the cage. I like the way that he fights, but also he lives his life and has fun and enjoys it. It's not all about fighting, and he tries to stop young kids from, he wants kids and people growing up in MMA to enjoy their life while they're training, to enjoy fighting, not just suffer through it.
Now, you won a really big fight. We're talking about those things. One of the great things about what I saw afterwards was the connection it seemed like you and Julian Marquez had after, even during the fight, man. You guys are, at the end of every round, touching gloves. Before every round, you guys are hugging. After the fight, you guys are, taking pictures together and, building up each other's, fan pages and things of that nature on Facebook. how difficult, because, we see a lot of things, man, where these guys are rivals now. You take Hoisey Gracie and the Ken Shamrock incident, for instance, right? Those two guys are basically rivals. They've had 3 fights. Shamrock alleges that Hoisey, kicked him in the groin on purpose and got away with a fight, and the ref should have stopped it and all these things. It didn't seem like there was a whole lot of that with you out there. Is that how you try to approach every single fight? Just, hey, respect for the next guy in front of me, man, because he's trying to do the same thing I am? Or are you to the point where if somebody really wanted it and they didn't want to be on that level with you, fine, we'll go to war and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Julian fight goes, I've only had one other MMA fight that was like that, and where the guy just kept coming forward and I kept coming forward, and we just, went to war for the entire fight, and it was as an amateur, and it was with a guy named Brandon Cheverfy, and me and him are best friends now. I mean, that bond that you build with somebody, the respect that you gain, like I know how hard I hit Julian, and he knows how hard he hit me, and neither one of us have had a guy continue to come forward after that. And I mean, when you do that to each other, I don't know, it's an instant bond. Like, I don't know if it's the respect. I don't even really know how to explain it. It's just you guys, like I said in the last interview, he brings something. It brings something out of you going through a fight like that, and that wouldn't have came out of me if it wasn't for Julian, and vice versa. He told me the same thing. Like, I mean, that wouldn't have came out of him if it wasn't for me. So it's almost a appreciation, I guess, for showing me what I'm capable of.
So basically, what I'm hearing is you liked being pushed to the limit, and you like being taken to a new level. And do you think, though, Chris, that you can keep that kind of level up? Because as you start coming up in the ranks, from word on the street, Bellator is contacting you right now to see where the direction you want to go. Is that something that you think you can bring to the table night in and night out? Because the fans, the way they responded after that fight, Chris, I mean, standing ovation for you guys. So how do you feel? Do you think you can bring that kind of level of intensity day in and day out? Is that what people expect to see when they come to see Chris Harris?
Yeah. Everybody that knows me, all my training partners and coaches know that that's how I fight. That's me. I mean, those fights like that with me and Julian are the reason I love fighting. I mean, of course, it's not going to happen every time because there's not always going to be that opponent that's willing to stand there in front of me and trade. But as far as I go, yes, I mean, I'm willing to stand there and trade until my opponent puts me to sleep. I mean, I won't stop coming. I'm not going to cover up and let my opponent punch on me till the referee stops it and look for a way out. That's not me. And that was one of the questions I've always had about myself, whether or not I would do that. And Julian, that's what I was saying about bringing something out of you. Julian answered a lot of those questions about me that night. I now know that if somebody hits me square on the jaw and it hurts, that I'm not going to curl up and lay down. I'm going to fight back. And that's what that bond is, like I was saying. I mean, so the answer, yes, that is me. That's how I fight. That's what I love to do. But will that happen every time? I don't think so. I don't think there's too many people that want to have that fight. I don't think there's too many people that can have that fight. And, I mean, it's a style of fight that's hard. You guys seen it. I mean, the third round, there's no more cardio left. No matter what you did, I don't care how good your cardio was. You go through a fight like that, the third round is all heart. There's nothing left. I mean, you gave everything you could the first round, and then you had to come out again and give everything you could the second round. By the third round, you don't have nothing left to give, but you still got to get up and do it again. And I mean, it's just, there's no way to explain it except for getting in there and doing it. And I mean, that's why I love fighting. It's because of stuff like that.
After the fight, about some of the new training and things like that, and during the fight, it basically from the get-go, it was essentially a boxing match. I noticed you threw a few more kicks than he did. Do you think that your boxing background helped you with something like that? Because you're 2-0 in boxing, if I remember correctly. And in addition, we all know that MMA is not strictly a stand-up game. It's also a ground game as well. At some point, you're going to have to go to the mat with somebody. When it comes down to going to the mat, do you think that you'll be just as prepared for that as you were for the stand-up game on Friday night?
Yeah. I mean, I'm primarily a striker, I guess you could say. I mean, I like to stand up. I like to trade. I come from a kickboxing gym. I'm trained by a kickboxing legend, the best striker in the Midwest. I mean, will I be prepared for the ground? Yeah, I've started wrestling recently, which everybody that knows me knows that they thought I would never do. But I started training with Charles Knox of Team of Hard Knocks, and he's made me love wrestling. I mean, I want to be just as good at wrestling as I am at striking now. And I mean, initially when I started fighting, I went to a jiu-jitsu gym, and it was basically strictly jiu-jitsu. It wasn't very much striking. And that's what I had my first 3 or 4 fights, was training only jiu-jitsu. So I mean, I'll be prepared. I mean, I know it's MMA, and I know there's going to be guys that take me down, and I know I have to be prepared for it. I was prepared for it this time. It didn't go there, but I was prepared for it if it did. And as I go further in my career, I'll have to be more prepared for it.
Now, let me ask you this. Bellator 150, the rumor is Bellator is making contact with you. I know you can't say a lot, so I'm going to ask you some yes and no questions if I can. Let's see how good at this I really am. Is Bellator currently in contact with Chris Harris?
Not with Chris Harris.
Is Bellator after the services of Chris Harris?
I hope so.
Listen to this guy. If Bellator decides to move forward with Chris Harris, is Chris Harris going to be with Bellator?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind signing with Bellator. I'd love to fight for them. They're a great organization.
What attracts you the most about Bellator?
It seems like they treat their fighters very well. I've never heard anybody complain about how they treat their fighters. And after fighting for them on Friday night, I mean, I have no complaints whatsoever. Everybody was respectful. All the guys that work for Bellator, all the guys and ladies, they all are really respectful and make you feel like like I've known them. I mean, I know all the boxing commissioners and all the referees and stuff that are in Kansas because I fought so much. I mean, I know them. I have a relationship with them. But these guys came from Bellator, and it felt like I knew them too. I mean, they treated me just like I was the next guy. I mean, the matchmaker Jed was awesome. I mean, he was real respectful. Anytime we needed to get a hold of him, he was easily contacted. I mean, it was just it went real smoothly. And I mean, I feel like they're more of a organization for the fighter, not for themselves. I mean, of course, everybody is going to be out looking for themselves, but of the options, I feel like they're very focused on making the fighters happy. And I mean, everybody that I've known that's fought for him, David Rickles, Caveman, he's never said anything negative about them, and he's been fighting for him for 17 fights or something like that. I mean, so 17 fights with an organization, and you've never had nothing negative to say about them. That's a long time. I mean, so.
Okay. Now, before we get out of here, and I'll let you go because I know you're a busy guy, Chris, one of the things that I want to know is if you end up making it and you're doing it big, how often are you going to come back and pay homage to Wichita, Kansas, where it all began, my man?
Oh, I doubt I'll leave. I mean, I like it. I don't mind Kansas at all. I mean, the people here, I mean, my family's here. You know, I don't plan on going anywhere for any time soon. I mean, I'll go places to train, obviously, but I mean, I'll be back all the time. Wichita's home.
Is there anything that you want to leave anybody with before you get out of here? Any final thoughts? Anything about Chris Harris that you want them to know? I guess Win over here, the main man's gonna do a little advertisement for Chris Harris.
I'm Win. I'm Chris Harris's manager. Guys, just be sure to follow Chris on all your social media networks. Chris Harris MMA on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. He has a website that he updates all the time with his fights and places to buy tickets, which is thechrisharris.com. And just stay tuned, man. We got some big fights lined up throughout the year. And also, a lot of people don't know Chris is an accomplished professional boxer as well. So he'll be boxing between time if his MMA career allows it. I think that pretty much sums it up, man. Thank you so much, Andrew.
No doubt.
You know, we had a great time here.
No doubt.
If anybody has any questions, you can contact me for Chris at info@chrisharris.com. I'm approachable, and we're always open for anything.
Okay, now let me ask you this really quick. We've been talking about this fight that you had with Julian Marquez and how great it was. Where can the fans, if they want to see that fight, go and find it in case they weren't able to attend the event?
The fight is streaming. You can stream it live on Spike TV or the Bellator MMA app. You could just pretty much just Google Chris Harris, Julian Marquez, Spike, or Bellator, and it should pop up. It's Bellator 150 was the event, so there you can find it. And if you go to Chris Harris's Facebook page, the fight is posted on his page. It's pinned, so you could watch it, stream it from your phone or from your computer, Chromecast, Apple TV, any of that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you much again, guys. I really appreciate it. Chris, man, best of luck to you in your career, bro. First-class guy all the way. Everybody, that was Chris Harris from right here in Wichita, Kansas. Now 5-0 and currently entertaining offers from Bellator.
Hey.
Can I release that? Can I currently entertaining?
Yeah.
I know that's not what he said, but that's what I'm saying. So, again, take it to Andrew Duncan if you guys are going to take it to anybody. When we come back on the flip side, we got to take a quick commercial break. I'm a little running behind a little bit today, but that's all right. When I come back on the flip side, we're going to talk a little NFL draft. It's a big thing right now. Who's been the most impressive to this point in the combine? Chris, who's your favorite team?
I don't really pay too much attention to football.
You don't pay too much attention?
Win is a big Packers fan.
Packers fan. Who are you looking for Green Bay to take coming out of the draft, man? Who do you like?
You know, we're always a great team, so our draft picks are always low. So we're going to have to find a steal. But I'd like for us to make a play to get Matt Forte.
Ooh.
He's a free agent, and what a better way to get back at the Bears than pick up their running back.
Even though you guys have already got Starks and
I think I like Starks. He's a little inconsistent.
I'll give you that. And Eddie Lacy definitely needs to drop a few
Eddie
pounds.
Lacy needs to come to Omnicut and do some fitness, some conditioning. You know, he needs to lay off the snacks. I see him on Twitter posting snacks all the time. Yeah, it'll be a good contrast. We can have Eddie Lacy power through and Forte out on the flats, man. We could be unstoppable.
I tell you what, Forte would be a big pickup. Leading rusher in the NFL over the last 9 years, which is surprising considering what Adrian Peterson has done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't know that.
Man, crazy. All right, so we're going to come back. We're going to talk NFL draft. 316-351-7397. Feel free to comment on the interview you just heard with Chris Harris. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this. 95.9 FM, KSUN Radio, Wichita, Kansas. You've been listening to the official Full Court Press podcast, hosted by myself, Drew Duncan. Don't forget, you can always find me on Twitter. That's at DrewDuncan83. Of course, the official Full Court Press podcast is on Facebook. You can also reach me there at DrewDuncan83 as well. For all you Instagrammers, I am on there at DrewDuncan83. Thank you so much for tuning in.